Hi, and welcome to this week's Mark IV Battle Report on Tried and True. I'm back at narration duties this week, but this time it's because we finally have Erica on the channel as a player. Now, onto the things she told me I have to say. If you enjoy our content, please consider subscribing to the channel and keep up to date on our Bat Rep and podcast releases. If you would like to support the channel directly, a link to our Patreon can be found in the video description below. Our match today was recorded using the Alpha Warfare Weekend premiere scenario, Hoist the Colors. We have a special 75-point Prime Army matchup today, and we have two factions in the channel for the first time. Erica is leading a 75-point Prime Army of pure Nightmare fuel, commanded by the Wanderer. It's Erica's first time on the channel, or I guess it's the first time on this side of the microphone, so let's see what she has to say about her list.
Hi everybody, this is Erica, and I'm on this side of things this time around, and it's weird. So today I brought my absolute favorite warlock of all time, the Wanderer. I absolutely love his playstyle and aesthetics. He was the first Grymkin warlock I learned the faction with. His defensive spell list and high defense stat line allows him to really bully the board and position his army aggressively. For my battle group today, I brought two Skin and Bones who will be filling two roles for my army. The first is hard hitting and the second is damage soaking. I also brought two Krabbits who will serve as shield guards and allow me access to a free elusive animus on the Wanderer each round. Attached to the Wanderer is Baron Tonguelick. He's there to help me with my upkeep costs, and Consume is always great to snipe out some high armor, multi-wound, small base models. I brought the Death Knell to help me with corpse allocation and armor buffs. I took a Grave Ghoul, which received a significant addition in Mark IV to give out corpses with its new special action. A Gremlin Swarm for scoring and contesting, Lady Cariana Rose to support my beasts, and Lord Longfellow for reliable guns. For infantry, I brought a unit of Dreadrots to act as a vanguard for my army's advance, and a unit of Nayslayers with their command attachment, the Warhorse. One of the biggest changes to Grymkin in Mark IV is that they lost their trumps but still lack feats. To help offset this, Grymkin armies may now take up to 7 command cards instead of 5, which include a pool of altered versions of previous Arcana. So for this game, I took a Curse to help deal with tough models, Breakthrough for Unstoppable, Careful Reconnaissance for On-the-Spot Pathfinder, Ill Omens to stack with Star-Crossed, Ruin to protect my models against spells and eliminate upkeeps, and the new Sacrifice. Lastly, I took Fortune's Path to help with accuracy and damage. I'm playing an alternate version of my favorite list for Mark III, and I'm super excited to see how it performs on the table.
For the first time on the channel, we have a 75-point legacy army of Infernals led by a returning community member, Mike. Unfortunately, Mike was unavailable to record his audio for this episode, but we have a special guest and friend of the channel standing in for him. This is Damon from Minority Report Podcast joining us today. Welcome to the channel.
It is very interesting. Zaateroth is a very unique and high skill level caster. The list consists of a forebodder, 2 tormentors, Lord Vyros, Alan Rowanwood, Princess Ragna with a Shrieker attached to her, Hermit of Hinge Hall, 1 Wretch, 2 units of Cultist Band, a Griever Swarm, Howlers, and yeah, that's it. Zaateroth's toolbox is very unique in the fact that it has threat extensions, debuffs, very good. The Tormentors is definitely there for the heavy hitting, the Foreboders to be able to allow her to get her spells across the board quicker, such as Black Spot. Lord Virus is most definitely there for Harmonious as well as the Spell Slave in a late game free summon, because you can summon off of him without paying for being Essence Cross. The Shrieker is probably the best lesser ever created and is great on Ragna. The Hermit is probably in the list for Essence solely. The Wretch, I typically take no less than 2 Wretches. One, because of ancillary attack on a Shrieker is just unfair. And secondly, Dark Mantle allows you to really get your forces across the table quickly. Cultist Bands, in our previous editions, 2 were most definitely were necessary. I don't think that is how it's going to be played in Mark IV, but I'm interested to see how he used them. Griever Swarms. And then the command cards that was selected was the Arcane Forces, break through. Careful reconnaissance, hit and run, and power swell.
Can the Wanderer and his surprisingly nimble war beast withstand an onslaught from Zaateroth and her Infernals? Let's get to the table and find out.
All right, so here we are on a beautiful autumn farm. Shout out Delaware Warmachine Paul. Thank you for the beautiful terrain. So we're playing the Hoist the Colors. So Damon and I actually played a version of, this is an alternate version of this scenario, where instead of putting 3 hills, we're put a forest in the center to help with line of sight blocking.
Very vibrant.
Yeah. All right. So I won the die roll and elected to go first. Again, with this forest being such a, how we score points pretty on the reg, I wanted to get up there as quick as possible. So I activated the Wanderer, cast Fog of War, and then used the Krabbit's Animus Elusive for free with my Attuned Spirit ability. And now you can cast spells and run. So to the center of the board I go to try and capitalize on that frost. I run with the Dreadrots. Again, running is speed +5. I move up with the Grave Ghoul. So the Grave Ghoul changed. He's got a really awesome ability on him now. It's star action. I found one, range 3, allows him to put a corpse token on a model that does not have a corpse. He puts one on that top Skin and Moans. Skin and Moans runs. And this is where I'm asking Mike about the range on the flying butthole monsters. I can never remember their name. So I'm running with my Innate Slayers. I decide not to use the All Fall Down ability this turn because they are not in range of any guns. Gremlin Swarm's going to take up a defensive position behind that wall. The Corpse Cart, the Death Knell moves up, generates a corpse token. It can generate 1 token as long as it doesn't start with 1. Hands that to the bottom Skin and Moans. Top Krabbit Ryle runs. Bottom Krabbit runs. So this is where I found out that Baron has also changed from third edition. So no more command range, which means so before I used to have a 6-inch. What is that? Arcane Assist. There we go. Arcane Assist. Now it's 5 inches. So we'll find all game. I fail to keep that solo within 5 inches of the Wanderer. And as a awesome Wanderer player, I tend to forget to put my road markers out. So you'll see me throw them out quite frequently on Mike's turn. Speaking of Mike's turn, to you, Damon.
Well, as I look at the table and try to realize what's the flying butthole model you were talking about, looks like Zaateroth moves forward, probably casts Rites of Torment. That's a staple, which allows models in our battle group to move 3 inches if a model kills something in their control. Tormentors advance. Center around the forest. It seems like everyone's hiding behind woods these days. Looks like he's considering. Looks like he might be asking you a couple of questions.
I think he was asking the threat of Mr. Longfellow down there.
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, it is, especially when you have a lot of character models.
Yeah, one good thing about this matchup for Zaateroth is that models in her control area, when targeted by a range attack, are at -3 range. So that's a self-built-in defense against someone as accurate and damaging as Longfellow. So it looks like he's just moving some solos in place. Very aggressive with the Wretch. Probably going to be a summoning target next turn. I still don't know what the flying butthole creature was. Have you seen that move yet?
Yeah, the guys that are up by the windmill. That's what they look like to me.
Oh, Grymkin!
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. I will never look at them the same. Okay. So it looks like a whole lot of positioning. The Forebodar, again, that's this art node. Looks like he's trying to go hard flank with that. The Howlers are there. There's Shield, probably hoping to pull some damage out because they do have Vengeance. So that will extend their threat as well.
Yeah, they have what, eight boxes now, right?
They do. 8 boxes, defense 12, armor 17s. They're pretty solid with tough. The Shrieker, once again, my favorite lesser, gets into position. The great thing about that thing is already in threatening position to start slaying some pumpkin heads.
Yeah, that's a fabulous horror. Are they the lesser, right? They're still horrors?
Yeah, they're lesser horror.
All right, so it's back to me. I elect not to move the Wanderer to any of his road markers during the maintenance phase, and this is where Mike tells me, and I'm reminded that a lot of these guys have eyeless sight, so Fog of War isn't really needed, so I decide not to upkeep it, especially since Baron is outside of 5 inches. It just didn't seem worth. So the other interesting thing about the Wanderer is, for order of activations, I tend to want to go with him first. So his ranged attack is, it doesn't do damage. It's a spray 10, but it does put beacon and flare on models. So it allows me to advance an additional 2 inches and lowers the defense of, who my target is. So I moved the Grave Ghoul up in case I need to use his corpse to reroll a miss. So I have an 8-inch reroll with that. I also used his ability, I found one on himself, so he got a corpse token at the start. So Wanderer moves up, casts his signature Star-Crossed ability. Everybody loves Star-Crossed, right? And then he goes up to spray these big boys here. So I'm hoping to get a good charge on with my Dreadrots there. Just measuring out, I decide to camp 3. Remember, ABCs, always be camping. And then I cast Elusive for free. So I feel pretty safe with my positioning. Even though I lost the Wanderer lost his get out of jail for free card trump, I feel pretty safe up there. So at this point, so when we were recording this game, this was before the play feature came out on the new Warmachine app. So Mike and I are taking a little bit of extra time to track damage and check stuff in the older app. So you'll see us jumping back and forth.
Did you forget to place your markers again?
He does that at the end of the turn. But yes, I think I probably do. Dreadrots move up to advance. So since I'm first player, I wanted to make sure that I got at least one of my pumpkin guys in the forest to contest. So I got 2 charges on that bottom. What are those, Damon? Foreboders?
Those are howlers.
Howlers. Okay, so 2 Dreadrots on the south, and then 1 on the middle, and then 1 on that north. So Dreadrots no longer have Gang or Ghostly, even with Elijah, but they are still power 10 weapon masters with takedown. So as long as I'm crushing it on damage, I can take these guys out without risking a tough roll. And of course I get a corpse. I think I just did some damage triggering vengeance on those guys there. Longfellow moves up, so it's kind of hard to see on this angle, but there are some crates and boxes behind that house, so I'm kind of using that as cover. Longfellow does have Finisher, which means I get an additional die on damage on already damaged models. I Swift Hunter back just to keep him safe, because that, the Shrieker, right? That
is the Shrieker.
Yeah, that thing's got a pretty gnarly gun. So at this point, I'm worried about the buttholes. What are they? What are they called again?
The Grievous.
Okay, the Grievous Swarm. Sorry, I've only played against this faction like 3 times.
No, listen, I think officially that's their new name for me.
So I move up with the Anae Slayer unit, and we are going to talk about these guys a lot later this game, because they do some work. They have an ability on the command attachment. They have 3, and the one I used this turn was All Fall Down, which means that they are knocked down, they gain feigned death. So Mike's unable to cast ranged attacks or spells against them. So they feel pretty safe. And then the Warhorse also gives them Rise, so they'll be able to stand up during my next maintenance phase. So here's a bit of a misplay on my part. I advanced Skin and Moans up. Again, I'm relying on that Def 13 and Star-Crossed. I'm not entirely sure how accurate these horrors are, but I've had some success in the past with moving Skin and Moans up there, dropping some corpses, making them tanky, and hoping to absorb some hits. So I do advance my war beast pretty aggressively. Carriana Rose moves behind the cart to be within 9 inches of both skin and bone, so I can enrage whichever one I need to on my turn. And look, I put out my road markers, and that's turn.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
Looking across the table, you definitely formulated some problems. So looks like he's about to do his maintenance, which is the vengeance move, and attacks with the horror. I'm sorry, I'm messing up. Howler. Not sure why he's getting 3 dice though.
Oh, maybe they're. Oh, it's because of Starcross. So
Starcross
is your opponent will roll an additional die, dropping the highest. So Def 13 models can be kind of a pain to hit.
Very much so. One of the most powerful spells in the game, if you ask me.
Yeah, it's very good.
Do you know what you guys were discussing right there, as far as?
I think it was. So we were jumping back and forth between the apps and looking at damage, because I think I asked how many points of damage were on the remaining.
Howler's right. Okay. I can't figure out what that model is he just moved. It's not Zaateroth for sure.
I think it's that solo that you were talking about, that you take 2.
Oh, the Wretch?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Let's see. This is very interesting to see an Infernal player that I'm not hearing him play and watching him play. Because you have most definitely put a problem in the center of that table, and I'm very interested to see how he's going to unpack this. So it looks like he's moving a Grievous around, probably to try to take some shots at something outside of the Nayslayers, since they can't be targeted by range.
Yeah, that's what it was. So they have that gunfighter ability, or that pistol, that new one. So I didn't know if that meant, like, if that counted as a melee attack where they could still be targeted with Feign Death, but they are not. So that was a rule that we were checking.
That's what, yeah. And that sounds like, we're all new to this 4th edition, but it most definitely sounds like you guys did it right. So it looks like he took some shots, and you guys are discussing. So he did nothing with the Grievous.
Yeah, I think all of them missed with Starcross. The other thing I triggered this turn was command card / Arcana, Fortune's Path, because he missed me, and I'm speculating that Mike's probably going to feat with Zaateroth, and her feat makes it very hard to hit him. So between my flares and Fortune's Path giving me +1 to hit, +1 damage, I'm hoping to offset some of that. So that was a command card I did proc.
Look at you stacking abilities.
Got to. That's how we do. So this is me kind of with my cart placement. I thought I had all of these Dreadrots within 10 of my cart, but we'll quickly see that a few of them are outside. So the cart will not be able to collect most of the corpses from the Dreadrots this turn.
Oh, that was the Shrieker who did that, right?
That thing does work.
Oh my god, man, I'm telling you.
Y'all take that. Like, I played against that model at Warfare Weekend in both of my Infernals games, and that model is money.
It really is. And it being on Radna, especially now that Radna replenishes her essence, she does not have to sacrifice a model in order to get her essence pulled back. It's incredible. It's a nice combination. So he most definitely made a hole.
Yeah, so it looks like here Zaateroth feated. I forget what does her feat do again? I know it gives a defensive buff. Yeah, so
all models in her control ring gets +3 defense. If they are missed by an attack, they can place up to 3 inches. So, and it can happen as many times as you miss. So it is a place, which is very potent.
It's pretty paralyzing, especially if you don't have any mat fixers in your army.
Yes, one thing that I like to do with that is they have a lesser called a Lamenter that has a -2 Parasite Aura, I believe is what it's called, living non-soulless models within 5 inches of it suffers a -2 to attack. So that on top of her Zaateroth's feet, you're looking at a -5.
Oh yeah, that I've been on the receiving end of that. That's not like you basically I didn't do anything for a whole turn. I just had to sit there and block off my key pieces. It was pretty crippling.
Yeah. Wow. So he did just summon, looks like another tormentor maybe? Or no, that's a desolator.
So this was interesting. So templates have changed. So now
Yes.
now they're universal.
Yeah, should it be a 3-inch, right?
Yeah, so what is the AoE on that guy?
It's stated. It used to be a 4-inch AOE. Now it's stated that a cloud effect is placed on which is a 3-inch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's why Mike had pulled the ring up too. I don't think it was affecting too much that churn. So these guys are nasty. They have a ranged attack. They like the spray, right? That messes with armor.
Yeah. Yes, they have 2 sprays, 8-inch sprays. They're rat 6. They have withering humor, so it's -2 armor to living and undead models that are hit. Now the spray itself is not that. It's only a power 10, so power 12 if it hits, but it is definitely a great debuff.
Yeah, because you can stack that with the Hermit. You could stack that with Zaateroth. She has Scything Touch, right?
She does. So that's a -4 swing that she can pull off with a Desolator in play.
Yeah, it's pretty gross. The last pumpkin finally goes down. But I get another corpse, so that's cool.
That one was within 10 inches.
Yes.
Right? He is really relying heavily on that feat because the skin and bones can easily walk through a tormentor.
Yeah, Skin and Bones, they're not having the theme benefit anymore. It kind of stinks, but I mean, it just makes it hard to get corpses on them. Like essentially, if they don't have corpses on them, they're garbos. But having the Grave Ghoul there and the corpse card allows me to at least get 2 corpses on one a turn. So I may go back and adjust this list, and maybe 2 isn't the way moving forward.
What would you replace it with, though?
I don't know. Maybe the bird. Right? Okay. So, I get charged by this guy, and I'm like, okay, bring it. You got 3 dice. I'm feeling like I might be able to survive a hit or 2.
Yeah. Mat 7 tormentors, power 17s with grab and smash.
So definitely hits. So here we're calculating the even with all the debuffs that are going out, I still get the +2 armor from the corpse aura.
Okay.
So this is us just bouncing back and forth between, and there they be, the trip 6s.
Oh my goodness, he's taking a chunk out of that
yeah.
Skin. Look.
Oof. Oh, it's rough. Yeah, and I lose a Skin and Bones. On the bottom of 2 during Zaateroth's feet turn. It's
ouch.
Yeah, good, well played by Mike. But yeah, I'm getting a lot of pressure on that north side.
Well, yeah, I mean, you had one of the greatest units in the game called the Nayslayers. They're a great equalizer, so I'm not worried about you yet.
All right. So it turns back to me. I decide not to move the Wanderer. I feel pretty good where he's at. I am a heavy down than what I expected to be. So here I am kind of mathing out between Fortune's Path and my Flare, because I can only, spray once this turn, where I'm going to go. Oh, and then Mike also scored the Middle Forest with the Princess. So she is in the woods, scoring him a point. So one of the other changes that we made to this scenario versus on the original document was we made it so anything could contest that forest zone, and solos and warcasters could score it. So I elect to spray the horror on the bottom because I feel like I can get a really cheeky charge off with Skin and Moans to be able to engage 2 horrors this turn. So you take 1 Skin and Moans, I'm going to try and take 2 horrors. Corpse Cart Death Knell drops the last corpse onto Skin and Moans. Make sure that Skin and Moans will still be in the aura when he charges in. Cariana Rose moves up to Enrage. So that is with buffs out. So Power plus Strength 21 goes to 22 with Fortune's Path. Matt 8.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Matt 8
Dice.
with Flare.
Dice plus 3. Oh my god.
And some free charges. I'm hoping that Power 22s can scalp out some of these models. I advance the Crabbit forward. I force him to jump, so he is contesting the forest. He will have the benefit of Starcross, and then I put up Elusive on the Wanderer as well. Starcross going to be up every turn, everybody, and Elusive. So that'll be at every turn. Okay, so Skin and Bones charges, making sure I'm within 2 inches of both of those horrors, and here I go attacking this bottom guy. I did try and move the Grave Ghoul up to be able to cover Skin and Bones in that 8-inch bubble, but unfortunately on how my models were activated and the position of the Death Knell, I wasn't able to move him within 8 inches of the Skin and Bones. But I end up landing on my hits. And
I mean, at the end of the day, they are defense 11. So I think you're.
I mean, they're what? It's defense plus.
Oh, it is feet.
Yeah,
it is feet.
It is feet.
Yeah,
so basically, Fortune's Path and my flare gun from the Wanderer is kind of negating the feet. So that's 1 horror down, and now I am buying attacks on this other gentleman behind the woods. So again, with that teleporting aspect of that feat, any miss I do is very scary because that means I cannot hit that model anymore. And it's a place within, what's the inches again?
3 inches.
3 inches from its current location?
From its current location.
Yeah, so that can get some pretty scary, vectors. And since it's a place, you don't need to worry about leaving melee ranges or anything like that. I also thought about going in on the princess, but her defense was way too high, even with Fortune's Path. I didn't feel comfortable doing that. So here I go, buying some additional attacks, trying to clear this model, and I think I leave him on 1 box. All right, so
that was well played.
Oh, thanks. All right, so here come the Nayslayers. So let's talk about these gentlemen really quick before they inevitably get changed. If you're playing Grymkin right now, play these guys before they get changed. All right, so Cav models in general, right? So typically they're 3-man units on large bases, so you're only worried about 3. I think Zeke said it best when the 4 of us chatted on the podcast episode. You're only worrying about 3 models. Well, Nayslayers, it's a unit of 5 that are small with a large attachment. So that's 6 Cav models that have Unbreakable. They're rolling 3 dice and they have armor-piercing weapons. So to add insult to injury, these guys come in with the new, movement abilities, and instead of, with the unit, how units move now, right? So instead of using All Fall Down, I decide to use the Leapfrog Annoyance, which stacks with Starcrossed and any other negators I can put out there. And then I decide to repo them into Mike's shooting guys and his other models. So not only is he dealing with Starcrossed, but now he's dealing with Annoyance on top of that. So he's at another, -1 to hit me. And I'm able to spread them out with the repo rules, so these guys can get all kinds of charge vectors. I move Crabbit up to Shield Guard from the Shrieker, because I'm worried about those bounces taking out my horsey mans. And Baron, he's just a dead solo at this point, so I just run him back to the hill to contest it in the event that Mike gets a solo back there. I contest, no score, and goes back to Mike.
Yeah, Mike's on his heels. I figured you would get 2 of those horrors, but taking the Desolator down to 1, you might as well say you got 3. So this is it's going to be interesting to see how he tries to recover from this. Not sure what he's doing now.
He's healing. So he moved the cultist in to heal.
Oh.
And okay. They took... so they have... not spirals, but they have circles. So he was able to recover it, the 2 inner circles.
Yeah, that's cultists being able to heal at 3 inches is pretty nice. So they can put essence on at 5 and heal at 3.
Yeah, it was very strong. It was a lot of damage that was taken off. So it's pretty much a fully functioning horror at this point. But how does essence work? Do you have to allocate it like focus?
It does. So they do not self-generate it. It's either you have cultists who puts it on, or you'll locate it in the maintenance phase or control. I always get those confused.
Yeah, no worries. I think Mike's just going over some maths here. So what were some of the other changes that Infernals got from Mark 3 to Mark 4? Summoning got changed, right?
It did. So one thing is the essence number changed for all horrors. So the heavies used to be 4, they're now 3s. The lessers used to be 3, now 2s, and then the for Boulder. I don't know what you call them as far as the level, but they used to, they're now 1. So everything went down 1, but there's no longer a tithe. So you can run them down to 0 and the horror still stays on the table, where in previous edition, if you're not able to pay your tithe, that horror is removed from play.
Yeah, that's a big quality of life change.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. It's funny, I was just playing a game and my opponent was asking me about that. It's like, man, it almost feels like it's too powerful, but it makes sense. After you play it, you see that they're really glass cannons.
Yeah, for sure.
So they have like 22, 24 boxes. So.
Yeah. So I think what happened here was Mike activated Zaateroth and put Scything Touch and moved I think the Hermit moved up to be within 5 of Skin and Bone. So remember we were talking about that that pretty wicked armor skew. I think that's happening this turn. So horrors have dual attack, right? Like Beast and Warjack. So I'm getting sprayed Skin and Bones, but because the spray can, 3 inches, right? With a forest, it stops. That forest is less than 3 inches, so he's able to hit my Crabbit in the back there.
Yeah, you cannot shoot anything that's either on the other side of forest or more than 3 inches in or out of.
Yep. So that -2 armor, even on the Crabbit, it's going to negate the aura, the +2 arm that he's getting from the cart. No, they're not too hardy anyway. And then this is the damage from the ranged attack going on Skin and Bones and my Crabbit. Look at that throwback out.
So I can't wait to see what the flying buttholes do this turn.
So I definitely felt for Mike here because all of his melee attacks I'm pretty sure missed this turn. He didn't boost any of his attacks, and I think all of them missed except maybe 1, which is this damage roll here. It's a good hit though.
Yeah, I mean Starcross on a mat says defense 13. It's just I feel this pain and I'm not even playing the game.
Yeah, it's hard too because in Mark 4 the model count's lower, so every miss like that hurts. Like you really feel it because you don't have the extra model count there to kind of compensate for that.
That is so true. Very well put. I was kind of surprised that he did not. I mean, casting Scything Touch was a good move, but I also thought he should have took some shots with Zaateroth. She has a power 14 gun, and looks like she might be out of Starcross.
Yeah, I think she was outside of Starcross that turn. Maybe it was a combination. Is she eyeless as well?
No, she is not.
Gotcha. So maybe the concealment and the combat bonus might have been too much of an ask. Does her gun have any? Does her gun do any debuffs, or is it just a?
No, there's no debuffs. Yeah, just no debuffs at all. Just a power 14 blast.
Okay,
I think AOE 2.
Damage is damage.
Yeah.
Oh, so here's your Shrieker. So what does his gun do?
So that is a range 10, power 13. On a hit, it has a Molisher, I think is what it's called. And it leaps D3, power 10 damage rolls to the closest model.
Is it like lightning? Is it like lightning leaps?
It is.
Okay.
It's like lightning leaps, but it's not.
Oof. Yeah, so I think he got some jumpy damage on Skin and Moons. So I think this Mike's kind of looking at the board, trying to figure out, hey, what else can I get on my heavy to remove it? Because it is a contesting piece. It's also a fully corpsed up Skin and Moons, which is a very threatening war beast to have in the middle of the table.
I'm very curious on this next turn. So I don't know what you do with that.
Well, I think here is your unit. They're getting ready to go. Get ready for it. So Mike's trying to move them in such a way where they're still engaged with the Nayslayers, right? So the Lance rule is no longer in the game. So they are range 2 all the time. But he's trying to get out of annoyance range because not only is he star-crossed, but now he's got that -1 to hit that he has to deal with on top of that. So even though these guys are engaged, and they have the rule that allows them to shoot while they're engaged without the accuracy debuff, he doesn't want to get tagged with that annoying buff either.
That was well played, man. Well played. Add annoyance into Starcross.
I think I also used so one of the other command cards I took this game was Ill Omens, which I think I also remember proccing. So now Mike is with annoyance -2 to hit with Starcrossed, and then -1 across the board with everything else.
You're so mean.
Dude, can we just take a second to appreciate the changes to Grymkin? Because I love having the extra 2 command cards, because there's so many times I played Grymkin where I'm just like, damn, I wish I could drop my trump and, take an additional Arcana, and now we can do that. So it feels pretty good.
Yeah, I bet it does.
All right. So this is what, top of 3? Or top of 4. Okay, so this is top of 4, no points. My Crabbit frenzies onto the butthole. The Howlers, is that what they are?
The buttholes are the Grievers.
Grievers, okay. Jeez, I'm sorry, Infernal players. All right.
Yeah. She doesn't mean it.
So I frenzied onto that gentleman there, and now we're getting ready to start my turn. So I have a cute little play I want to do, because I want to take out those 2 other horrors, and I think I can do it with a cute Veil of Misplay. So go with the Wander, of course. Spray that guy to lower his defense, make him a little bit easier to hit. I tag the Griever as well, make him a little easy to hit. Starcross is always elusive. And then I drop Veil of Miss. So Veil of Miss has also changed. It's no longer a 4-inch AoE. It is 3-inch AoE. Cariana moves up to enrage Skin and Moans to make him hit power 21s this turn. So here is a misplay on my part. So I am sorry, Mike. So basically what I did was I moved my Veil of Mist in such a way where I could walk Skin and Moans through my own War Beast to engage his 2 War Beasts. However, Skin and Moans doesn't have Unbreakable. And I totally missed that the princess has a melee weapon. I don't know why I thought that, or maybe did she used to have like a .5 melee weapon?
It used to be half-inch.
Okay. Yeah, so that's my fault. So what I did was I used the command card to give Skin and Bones Pathfinder, so I didn't have to waste a Fury to animi him. But I also did have Unbreakable. So in talking with Mike, after this was a couple days after our game when I was reviewing the footage, I was like, "Oh yeah, dude, I completely messed that play up." If I looking at it, if I just, veil a miss, or let's say I did spend that Fury and used Unbreakable, I could do this play still. But yeah, that's my bad, fam. Models that leave the melee range of other models in Mark IV give up their initials. So I do kill the one horror, right? He only had a couple boxes left. And then here are my last attacks going into this gentleman in the back.
Tormentor.
Lamenter?
Tormentor.
Oh, Tormentor. Haha. Thank you.
There's so many midterms.
They're Mike's. He's an incredible painter and hobbyist. Like the way he converts his models and the way they're just the flesh effects when he was working on these models were like super grotesque and just gross. They look amazing on the table. His flesh effects are quite nice.
I can see that from here. And going back to what you said, how you could correct it, it looks like you killed him with 3 Fury on him. So you still have a Fury left, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I could have...
Yeah, so you could catch your Animus.
Yep, so I could have cast my Animus there and made it legal. So Skin and Bones is where the proxy base is, not where he is right now. Baron von Licky Schnips jumps on that hill, and that's where he stays, because I cannot, for the life of me, get him within 5 inches of my caster this game. So Mr. Longfellow moves up, takes some shots against the princess. So he's great at sniping out character solos. So not only does he have finisher, but he also has an ability Fortune Hunter. So he gains an additional die on accuracy and an additional die on damage against characters, which does stack with finisher. So you can roll four dice at power 10. We'll do some work. Here go the Nayslayers doing Nayslayer things again. Again, with the way units move right now, only one needs to make, the charge to get in. And then even with repo, the rest of the unit can get in there. So here we go, cleaning up some grievers, aka flying buttholes. And then I go ahead and make them annoying, and I repo them around just to get in the way. I think it's also fair to say too, I think Mike had the Hermit's aura up that turn, so I was benefiting from that on my turn as well. So I think that also helped me do damage to the those big guys. So I'm feeling pretty good here. I do want to score that middle zone. I need to get Miss Princess out of there. I don't think I'm gonna be able to do it this turn. Here I go at the end, placing my way markers and getting ready to pass turn back to you.
So I bet Mike has to be asking himself, what did I do wrong? I don't. So it looks like Zaateroth, one howler, the Shrieker for Boulder, and yeah. I could
definitely feel, and even at Warfare Weekend with the way it's mostly the Nayslayers. They're very powerful, and I've played them in 4 games now in Mark IV, and they're just so hard to take off the board. I mean, all the tools that people used to have. So like Andy, he plays Protectorate. He used to bounce ashes to ashes on his own stuff to kill my Nayslayers, but you can't even do that anymore because you can't target your own stuff. So I'm not sure. Even as a Grymkin player, I don't know how to counter them.
I mean, especially the way because we played at Warfare Weekend. I don't know, how many points was that, Erica? Do you remember?
It was 75.
It was 75. It just seems like, especially if you go below 75, it just seems like you don't have the tools within your army to deal with them. At 75, it's hard pressed, but like sprays will still be effective, I think, because you can target something behind them. Although you go very hard flank with yours, that's what you did with me. So there's nothing to target behind them. So yeah, it's annoying.
Yeah, what do you think they're going to get changed?
I haven't seen I haven't seen a problem that can't be solved yet with them. But I don't know.
I know. From talking to Zeke, I know they created a lot of issues on during Warfare Weekend as well.
Yeah.
So Princess,
like you haven't even taken a casualty yet.
What's that?
You still got a full unit.
Yeah, I still have a full unit. They're so good, you guys. So Mike charged the Princess. So she's good against living models, right?
Yeah, she has poison on her dagger. So basically, she's a weapon master against a living model. Gotcha.
Yeah, she does some work this turn. I think she kills the Crabbit. I forget if she kills Skin and Moans or gets the damage in there. So with Mark IV again, there's no arcs anymore. So even being behind my heavy, she's not benefiting from any defensive bonuses.
How are you liking that so far?
Without the arcs?
No. Yes.
I don't mind. I like it. Arcs always seem kind of archaic to me.
Yeah, I didn't think I would, but it's nice not to have to worry about it.
Yeah. I'm a fan.
Yeah, I am. And it doesn't give up anything tactically. A lot of people say as far as the free strikes because of the ability to tie up units and they can't move away or at least not charge away. So
something else that was fascinating this game. So during Warfare Weekend, I don't think I've played against a Hermit. He's different when you take him Infernals. Can you touch a bit on what changes on him?
Yeah, so the biggest thing is that, in Mark III, he doesn't have the ability anymore, which is the shunt damage. You could not use that in Infernos. That he did not have that ability, so you could not disregard one damage roll. But one of the biggest things, he can supply essence. He can either put essence out. Well, actually, he does it simultaneously. He places essence and takes essence away from enemy models, which is pretty strong for the faction.
Did he still keep his ability if he dies? He takes away upkeeps, and you can't force.
Yes, he does.
Gotcha. And are Infernals the only ones that can take him now?
I don't know.
That
is a great question.
If you guys know the answer, post it in the comments below.
Uh-oh. That is a great question. As I'm fumbling through my War Machine app right now.
I don't think I've seen him in any other armies. So I think at this point, Mike had activated Zaateroth. I think he tried to sling some spells into Skin and Moans. He's really trying to figure out how to remove this model, because if Skin and Moans is still up, Skin and Moans is gonna just eat and heal and do work. The other thing that Mike forgot a couple of turns, and we talked about after the game, is that 3-man unit with the 8 boxes. Those are howlers.
Howlers,
I think
yes.
he forgot to activate them for 2 turns, or his last remaining one.
Oh,
yes, I think that's why that one model's just hanging out there. So Skin and Moans goes down. Zaateroth finishes the job.
That's strong.
Mm-hmm. She's ready to fire? She's ready to fire 1 or 2 on her gun.
She's ready to fire 1, but she has to reload.
Gotcha.
So she can get 2 shots off.
Gotcha. So at this point, I don't even have any war beasts. My whole battle group is dead. So I lose a pretty clutch animus, so I can no longer dodge for free. And I'm going to have to start cutting because Crabbits don't generate Fury for me on the bench.
Is that a new rule?
I don't think Lessers ever gave Fury.
Yeah. Never had to worry about that.
Yeah, so it's going to be rough for me. Not that I have too many spells I want to cast, but Starcross, that thing costs 3. So Mike here is deciding who he wants to shoot. So the Nayslayers are fair game, right? Because they're not all fallen down. Cariana Rose is there. That's a pretty... Well, I guess she's got no one to enrage anymore, right? And then Longfellow is sitting behind some crates, so his defense is pretty high against shooting.
I'm sure something has to be out on that Shrieker as well, because that's where he was transferring damage from.
Yep. Yeah, again, it was hard because we're bouncing back and forth between 2 apps. So some of that stuff, we would have caught a lot easier. Same thing with aspects being out. So I think like the previous turn after Skin and Moan's win, I was still camping 1, but saw, oh crap, I had an aspect out. So I ended up going 0 camp last turn and spent that last Fury to heal Skin and Moan so I could legally do what I did that turn. Mike moves up, and those guys get a bonus to charging living models, correct?
The Howlers does, yes. They have Bloodthirst.
Yep, so now he's tied up my gun. And that's turn. So Mike scores the center again. So the score is 2-0 Mike. So here I'm trying to figure out... we actually talked about the Death Knell being a solo, and I was like, oh, wait, I guess I could kill the princess and then run the Death Knell into score. And then Mike brought up, according to, the rules on the document, you have to completely fit within the zone, and the Death Knell can't do that. So we both agreed that he couldn't score. So I think at this point I'm trying to figure out, okay, I got to remove the princess, and then I'll just move Cariana Rose up there. To score, since I kind of want her to die for my army now to get a free +1/+1. So here I use the Unbreakable card on Longfellow and move him out of engagement with that model to take out the princess. And then I Swift Hunter him back, which frees up that zone. I think at the start of this turn as well, I pulled 2 from the bench and then cut the rest for the Wanderer so I could at least cast Starcross. Because again, Camping Fury is not going to help me with anything. So
yeah, where are you transferring to?
Yeah, exactly. So as long as I can put up Starcross, we Gucci, All right, so these guys go, and from downtown, here they are, the Nayslayers.
That's ridiculous. Look at that craziness.
So I split up attacks between the Cultists and the Howler, and because the Howler's within 5 inches of the Death Knell, it loses tough because of the entropic force. So he dies, and then the rest of these attacks go in on the Cultists to try and clean them up. So we remove the model eventually, but with Horrors, when their master dies, they disappear, right?
They go away, yes.
Yeah, so we're trying to figure out, what if that guy just goes inactive. So he kind of sits on the board for a minute or 2 before he gets taken. So don't worry, he'll be gone in a bit.
It's just taking him time to disappear.
I'm trying to play conservatively with the Wanderer. So I put up Starcross. I camp a couple, which allows me to pull from the bench to keep casting Starcross for free. I move my corpse guy up to give me some rerolls, or to get Mike some rerolls if he comes in to kill Cariana Rose, to keep her alive. So the rerolls work for both me and him. And there goes the Gremlin Swarm sneaking in the back to try and get on that hill.
That Gremlin Swarm is always sneaking in the back to get on the hill.
Yeah, I forgot he was behind the windmill, legit. I think I just threw it. I was like, oh, this guy's behind here. I think I just tossed him on that side of the table.
So I wonder, I guess Mike is just trying to like, what can I kill, and possibly keep her from scoring. It's slim pickings.
Yeah, it was actually a pretty grindy game. Like, unfortunately, the infantry that I have up on the board is just like they do work. You know what I mean? So it's gonna be I think I have all my Nayslayers still up. Maybe I've lost one.
I don't know when. If you did. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4.
So I think at this point, Mike is trying to figure out. I think he wants to get rid of that warhorse, right? Because the abilities that thing gives is it's pretty good. It's pretty good. So I think he's trying to figure out a way where he can get 3 inches to see the warhorse without being able to be seen by my guys. He's also worried about scoring and contesting. So his goal this turn is to get rid of Miss Rose. And she's all up there like, I'm ready to die for my country.
I came, I live.
She scored a point.
Yeah, she did, right? So,
oh, go ahead.
What were you thinking at this point? Did you feel like it was was it a lock? Did you know it was over?
I mean, I felt bad because like Grymkin can be a frustrating faction to play against sometimes, and I'm not sure how many games of Mark IV. Like, we're all like kind of new at it, and Mike, he's still new at Infernals. So I know like on turn 1, he said, post game to me like, oh, I forgot to summon a horror on turn 1. And he was just forgetting some of the rules, like that Zaateroth -3 range thing. I don't think that was brought up at all in our game. But
I was wondering about that, especially when you were taking the early shot.
Yeah. So I didn't know that was a rule on her card, and it's a relatively, when you're learning a faction, you know what I mean. It's not like you're not going to remember everything on there. The other thing I wanted to kind of talk about too is the death knell being a solo now. Because oh yeah, sure, like it can score flags, right? Like that's cool. But because it's a solo now and not a battle engine, it's no longer protected against certain rules that affected battle engines because it's a solo now. So I'm interpreting that as that model can be slammed now. That model can get thrown now. That model, because there's no big base rules right now in the game, which makes it a liability, in my opinion.
And confusing.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how many people are going to think of that, Erica. Like, oh, I can two-hand throw it.
I mean, right? Like, because there's no big base rules anymore. What stops you from throwing it or slamming it? So I since coming to that realization and discussing it with kind of lurking on like the Grymkin Discords and social media stuff, I'm like, I don't really take the death knell anymore. I'm like, my corpsey guy, he could handle it. It's just, It's a liability model right now.
I mean, at the end of the day, it is a rickety wagon with like a mule that's like 2 steps away from the glue factory.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm curious to see if those rules will change. What do you guys think, fellow Grymkin players? Do you think the rules are going to change? I don't know.
They're not going to change. They're going to be a solo. Now, I wonder what I didn't even think about or consider, like, it being a solo, no longer a use-based model, the things you just discussed. So, I wonder if they took that into consideration when making it a solo.
Yeah, I mean, that would suck to have a big base model just get slammed into your whole army. That would be a bad day. So just to comment really quick. So, what's happening in the game right now? So Zaateroth is moving up to sling some she slung some spells. I did use Ruin to protect my rocking horse. Carriana Rose did die, and here goes some Nayslayers are finally, getting their comeuppance by some cultists. Look, see, the cultists did work.
let's not reach for that. That's not.
All right. So at this point, we are on turn 6. I'm looking to close out the game here by taking Zaateroth. So I move the Wanderer up. I go ahead and spray Zaateroth, keeping him within range of the grave goal to reroll if I have to. Because of my marker, I was able to teleport in the woods and get an aiming bonus. So I'm hitting her at rat 9 with rerolls. Here go the Nayslayers. They come in and charge. 2 were unengaged at the start of the turn, so they will get their full charge bonus. The other 2 will still get their attacks, but it won't be treated as a charge. Big Rocking Horse goes in first, cranks out that damage. It's 2 Nayslayers, and that is game.
All right, well, that was fun and interesting for everybody involved. That's a new one for us. Make sure you listen to the Minority Report podcast, and possibly in the future, they might be coming out with some battle reports of their own. Not that we won't try to bogart you one more time, Damon, to get on our channel as well.
Whenever.
I always love talking to David. Yeah, thank you so much for coming on and doing the audio for Mike. You know, our thoughts are with him and his family right now. You know, he's going through some tough stuff. So if you're watching, Mike, we miss you, and we wish the best for you.
I appreciate you guys having me.
Oh, definitely. So the game specifically, I know there were a few little snafus with the rules, but and I know there was a slight change or a couple changes that went into the scenario. What did you think about how live the scenario is and how that interacts with how the game's working right now?
You want to hit that, Damon?
Yeah, it definitely forces the action in the center of the table. So it's live. It's very, very live, in my opinion.
Yeah. So the biggest thing, I guess, when we came to the table, and even the game that Andy and I had with Gonzo, the alteration we did, we found that not having that line of sight blocker in the middle was kind of big, especially if you're into a gun line. You just get shot up before you can even get to that center. So I think changing it to a forest was, kept it more alive.
Yeah. Also, not only being able to score with attachments is kind of a little odd too. Because a lot of armies, it really depends on your faction whether you even want to bring attachments for your units or not.
Very true. They're both limited factions as is.
Yeah, I know for Grymkin, we don't... I guess even Infernals too, right? We're really limited on what infantry we can take into a scenario like that, and what kind of scoring presence we'll have. So what are you most excited about for Infernals in Mark IV?
Them being good. They were a struggle in Mark III with the tithe and just things that the way it was built. But now the primary army is Infernals, and they're in a very good place. So it's exciting to get the reps in with them now. Yeah,
that's like I said, up until Warfare Weekend really was my first time ever playing into Infernals. I didn't get the opportunity to play into them in Mark III, but from what I hear from the community, all the changes have been very positive.
Yeah, Travis did a great job. Dark Legacy, Travis Marr did a great job repurposing and altering this faction where it now can stand alone without the Hearts of Darkness theme, since that's no longer a thing. Overall, I'm very pleased in the direction of Mark IV. It's been very enjoyable game.
Yeah, I really like the. I don't know long term like what's going to happen with Grymkin in terms of like our warlocks going to get feats or trumps, but the one big ask I got from Mark III was like, oh, I wish I could swap my trump out for another Arcana. I kind of have that now, so it feels pretty good. And even with some of the changes, so we lost, the Arcana that had to deal with control. Sacrifice got changed, so it's a little bit harder to use, but
it's still really good.
It is still really good, and Nayslayers still they're very good. Andy's giving me side eye right now. So I'm excited. I'm definitely going to pick up a Mark IV faction, but I'm very pleased with Grymkin as a limited faction going into Mark IV.
Have you made a decision on which Mark IV faction?
I'm still waiting on the dinos. So, Privateer Press, if you're listening right now, zoo and dinos. Like, unless you hate money, you're going to put dinosaurs in your War Machine game.
Please don't.
Unless they hate money. That was classic. I mean, you look at the Derp Turtle. I mean, there's already dinosaurs, man.
No, thanks again, Damon. Thanks again. Check out Minority Report podcast, hosted by More Than Dice, and stay tuned for some great battle reports.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, it's just a little praise for you guys. It's amazing. And what little bit of time you guys have done for the community. And as a content creator, I appreciate you. You most definitely made us at the Minority Report want to, stretch our wings and get off the couch and stop laying around and letting other people do bigger and better things than us. So I appreciate the invite. I appreciate the banter. And I look forward to doing it again at Broker Brawl in person.
Hell yeah. We'll be at Broker Brawl.
We'll see you at the Broker Brawl. Thank you for watching. If you would like to check out some additional content, including the original video and audio of our battle reports to support the channel, please click our Patreon link in the video description below. If there are any factions, warcasters, or warlocks you would like to see on the channel, please let us know in the comments. And as always, see you on the next tried and true battle report.